Thank you. I see Mayor Hopkins is on. Can we call the meeting to order and ask the mayor to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Secretary, can you proceed with roll call, beginning with our esteemed mayor?
Mayor Hopkins.
Present.
President Monroe.
Present.
Vice President Francis.
Present.
Councilor Johnson.
Present.
Councilor McCabe is not here tonight. Councilor Jones Waters. Councilor Cave.
Hi, everybody. I'm here.
Councilor McCabe. I'm sorry. Roll call.
Here.
And that concludes roll call.
So Councilor Jones Waters was not able to log back on?
I did not see her.
Okay. The next order of business is our citizens forum. Are there any citizens wishing to speak? Mr. Gibbs.
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
1 second, please. I just need a break for a moment. Councilor Roselout. Councilor Roselout, you cannot show your video?
No, it's saying that the host is stopping it.
Brief indulgence, please. Let me just try to reset that. I don't know what. Madam President, I just asked for a brief indulgence. I need to log into the
No
settings.
worries. It'll be fine. I just didn't want anyone to be upset
I don't know.
that the video is not working. So if it's a technical issue, that's fine.
It's a technical issue. I
Yeah,
can
that's
see
fine.
myself, but I can't see anyone else.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Gibbs, would you also like to provide your disclaimer for the recording of this meeting?
Yes, ma'am. And once I get done that, may I go into the resolution?
Yes, thank you.
This is a public meeting of the Yeadon Borough Council. As such, it is being recorded pursuant to the governor's emergency declaration, and we are meeting via Zoom. As such, your attendance in this meeting is your consent to be recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, now is the time to leave the meeting. Thank you. Presently before council, also Madam President and Madam Secretary, council met this evening in executive session to deal with an issue related to personnel and legal matters. Pending before council is a resolution, which is a resolution that governs workplace harassment and discrimination. It reads as follows. Whereas it is the policy of the borough to provide a diverse and inclusive workplace environment free of discrimination and harassment. And whereas the borough expects and requires all employees, officers, and elected officials to conduct themselves in a professional manner with respect and concern for all members of the public. And whereas the borough is an equal opportunity employer and does not discriminate on the basis of age, ancestry, color, disability, domestic or sexual violence status, ethnicity, familial status, gender identity, genetic information, marital status, national origin, race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, and source of income, or any other basis protected by federal, state, or borough law. And whereas this resolution is intended to reaffirm and avow that the borough does not tolerate any form of sexual harassment in the workplace and prohibits workplace sexual harassment and discrimination by all borough employees, officials, contractors, vendors, appointees, boards and commissions, volunteers, and interns. Now, therefore, the Borough Council, pursuant to the powers invested in it by the Borough Code and the Yeadon Borough Code, do hereby order that the borough shall foster an inclusive and safe workplace for all persons. All persons have a right to work in a professional environment free from sexual or harassment and discrimination, regardless of source. All borough employees, including executives, managers, and supervisors, shall cooperate with any borough investigation, and the failure to do so will subject the employee to discipline. And the borough manager is empowered to take immediate action to remove an employee from active service to the borough, pending an investigation and further directions from council. At this time, I'll ask council to entertain a motion. This basically amends the personnel code that you all did at the beginning of mid 2019 to be very clear where we stand on workplace discrimination. So I would ask for a motion to approve this resolution.
Madam President, so moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Councilor Francis. Thank you, Councilor Case. I have a question, Mr. Gibbs. Does this, I heard you say sexual harassment several times. Does this cover us for any other types of harassment?
It's workplace discrimination for all
Okay.
the areas that we laid out.
Thank you. Have you been moved and properly seconded on the question?
Yes, I do have a question.
Councilor Rowe-Cloud.
As I stated, I have not had the opportunity to review this resolution as I just received it not literally minutes ago. But the last paragraph, I believe that I heard you recite something regarding that the borough manager will have the authority to terminate anyone upon a direction of council pending investigation. So,
Yeah, Madam Councilor Rowe-Cloud, let me correct you, ma'am, with all due respect. I didn't say terminate. I said remove from active service, which would be a paid suspension.
Oh, a paid suspension. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So
But
it's just,
what we don't want to do is be in a situation. In order for you all to meet, we have to do 24 hours. So, for example, on a Friday, it's 48 to 72 hours. The borough manager is a personnel officer in the personnel manual and the borough code.
right.
I want that person to be empowered to act, to remediate a situation, to bring it to council.
Okay, so that means basically if a situation arises, the borough manager will be able to suspend with paid leave pending the investigation.
That's correct, ma'am. And only council can suspend without paid leave.
Mhm.
I'm going to ask I have another motion coming up. And once we do that, that is one step towards termination. So what would happen is council would suspend somebody without pay, and then we would remove a person. And I would be responsible to presenting the information to council.
Yeah, so,
But
yeah, and you mentioned something about something that was created back in 2019. So I wasn't there in 2019, so I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, so we did a comprehensive update of our personnel manual. That comprehensive update and our borough code that has been in effect for 20 years has the borough manager as a personnel officer for the borough. As such, that is the person who deals with most of the HR issues because, frankly, I'm not there every day, and neither is council.
Yeah, I understand. It's just, my lack of knowledge because I don't have those documents to review, so I'm not familiar with those. But
I'll get
that's all
that
I
to you,
have.
Rowe-Cloud.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Gibbs, isn't that in the handbook? That particular
Yes, sir.
With that
Yes, sir.
information that Councilor Rowe-Cloud, Madam President, may I speak?
Thank you, Councilor Johnson.
Yeah. With that information that Councilor Rowe-Cloud is asking for, was that information in our handbook?
Yes, ma'am.
In the boroughs? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Madam President?
Councilor Francis.
Yeah, I think Councilor Johnson, I think was in the handbook section 2.1-2-4.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I don't have the handbook.
I'll get
We'll
it
make
to you,
sure to get
Councilor
you a
Rowe-Cloud.
copy as
I was
well.
just trying to give it a title.
No worries,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll move forward with a roll call vote in the order that counselors appear on my screen. Counselor Cade,
Yes.
Counselor Roadcloud,
No,
Counselor Francis,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
Yes.
It's a yes from me. The motion carries. Mr. Gibbs, is there a next?
Yes, there is. Brief indulgence, please. Councilor Jones Waters has arrived. I asked Madam President, the Secretary, to take roll. Councilor Jones Waters, please.
Counselor Jones Waters? Is she on? Counselor
She
Jones
should be.
present?
I believe she's still a panelist if she was able to put something in the chat. I think she needs to be upgraded to a panelist.
Councilor Jones Waters, you're there. I added her, ma'am, and she should be here.
I'm not able to see her on my screen.
I just, Mr. Nichols asked me to add her, which I did immediately, and I accepted her, but I do not see her currently.
If she calls somebody or somebody calls her, she can just be put on speaker.
There we go.
Okay, she's on the screen now. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Something's wrong.
guys to
Councilor
know
Jones
that I've
Waters
been
said something's wrong with her screen.
No, somebody been blocking me. So I haven't been able to say anything or do anything.
Councilor Jones Waters, I will tell you that I didn't block you. I did not see you in the attendees panel. I apologize. When Mr. Nichols sent me a text, and I didn't get me a text, I've been looking for you. So I apologize, ma'am. I'd ask that the secretary take the roll, and ma'am, I can go through the resolution again.
Please do. Thank you.
Counselor Jones Waters?
He said he was going to go through the resolution again. Can you please do so?
She's calling your roll. For Miranda is calling your roll, so you need to say present.
Present.
And that concludes roll call, adding in Counselor Jones Waters.
The Borough Council of Yeadon, the Council of the Borough of Yeadon, Delaware County, Resolution 2021 - and Ms. Presswood will fill that in. Whereas it is the policy of the Borough of Yeadon to provide a diverse and inclusive workplace environment free of discrimination and harassment. And whereas the borough expects and requires all employees, officers, and elected officials to conduct themselves in a professional manner with respect and concern for members of the public. And whereas the borough is an equal opportunity employer and does not discriminate on the basis of age, ancestry, color, disability, domestic or sexual violence status, ethnicity, familial status, gender identity, genetic information, marital status, national origin, race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, and source of income, or any other basis protected by federal, state, or local law. And whereas this resolution is intended to reaffirm and avow that the borough does not tolerate any form of sexual harassment in the workplace and prohibits workplace harassment by all borough employees, officials, contractors, vendors, appointees, boards and commissions, volunteers, and interns. Now, therefore, the Borough Council, pursuant to the powers vested by the laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the Yeadon Borough Code, do order that the borough shall foster an inclusive and safe workplace environment, and all workplace harassment by employees, officials, contractors, vendors, appointees, boards and commissions, volunteers and interns, and members of the public is prohibited. All borough employees, officials, contractors, vendors, appointees, boards and commissions, volunteers and interns have the right to work in a professional environment free from sexual harassment and discrimination, regardless of source. All borough employees, including executives, managers, and supervisors, shall cooperate with an investigation. Failure to cooperate with an investigation will subject the employee to discipline. Number 4, Madam Councilor Jones Waters, is the borough manager is empowered to take immediate action to remove an employee from active service pending an investigation and direction from council. Councilor Roadcloud asked questions about paragraph 4, and I explained to her that that is not termination, but that is suspension. Council takes 48 hours, sometimes 72 hours to get together to meet, and that's assuming that everyone's available. The borough manager, pursuant to the Yeadon Borough Code, is the person who's on the ground and is our personnel officer, and that person we're empowering to take action if there's a violation of this resolution.
I have a question.
Do you have any? Councilor
Please,
Jones
ma'am.
Waters.
Okay, so it needs to be amended prior to the investigation. So, I mean, if someone is just making an accusation, according to this resolution, are you saying that just because someone makes this accusation, that then who they're making that accusation towards or about, it would be immediate disciplinary action? You have to
No, ma'am.
investigate first.
No, ma'am. That's not what this resolution means. If there's a finding that someone did something, the borough manager is empowered to, but of course we conduct investigations.
So you said a finding. So, okay, so again, if someone makes an accusation and they take it to the manager, so then what is the next recourse?
The recourse would be, and I'll use a hypothetical. Someone came to the office and used the N-word and pulled out a gun. I would not want the borough manager to wait to meet with council before we took some action.
Well, that's extreme, pulling out a gun. I'm just saying.
I use extreme examples because that's the thing that I prepare for as a lawyer. That person would then be suspended with paid leave until council could meet, and council could then hear that information, determine whether that person is fired or not, or determine whether we suspend the person without pay.
So if it's not extreme and we're going by someone, let's just say a person allegedly called me the N-word, okay? And I filed a complaint as an employee. So how would that, how and what would be the next step with this resolution?
The next step would be an investigation. And if there's probable cause, the borough manager probably would contact me. I would listen to the information and I would give some advice. That person would probably be removed from their active duties with pay. And after they're removed from their active duties with pay, we would come to council and council would hear the information and make a determination and vote.
So in that resolution, can't you put that in the resolution? That's what I'm saying. Can it be amended to say such of what you just said?
Yes, ma'am.
So the resolution implies, the resolution states that the borough, it empowers the borough manager.
He's the solicitor. I was asking Mr. Gibbs.
You also arrived late to this conversation, so I'm letting you know some of the discussion that we already had.
Well, you're not a lawyer.
And you're also out of order.
No, you're out of order. I would like to hear from Mr. Gibbs.
Given that I'm the chair of this meeting, you are out of order, Councilor Jones Waters.
Out of order.
And in the event that you cannot control yourself and abide by our Robert's rules, then you will be muted.
You are not qualified to give an answer.
This is your warning.
Mr. Gibbs, can you please continue?
As I was saying, the resolution, as it's already written, empowers the borough manager to take action as our HR representative. One of the things that Mr. discussed earlier before you came onto the call was that we have our borough manager to act as our HR representative. So they would be able to make that decision to suspend with pay. Anything requiring punitive action, which would mean without pay or termination, would have to be decided by the full of council. Mr. Gibbs, is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there? So
yes,
do
ma'am.
we need to take another vote, so I'm going to call for the vote at this time in the order that councilors appear on my screen. Councilor Cave.
Yes.
Councilor Roadcloud.
No.
Councilor Jones Waters.
It's a no for me because it needs to be further explained. Thank you.
Counselor Johnson.
Yes.
Counselor Francis.
Yes.
So yes for me, the motion carries. Mr. Gibbs, is there a next resolution?
Yes, I'd ask for a motion authorizing the borough solicitor to conduct an internal investigation into complaints received reference to a borough board and entity, i.e. the borough, Yeadon Borough Library.
So moved, Madam President.
Second, Madam
Thank you,
President.
Counselor Gibbs. Thank you, Counselor Francis.
I have a question.
Mr. Gibbs, are we accepting questions on this
I'll accept the
matter,
question.
given that it contains personnel issues?
Please explain your question. Please explain your motion, Mr. Gibbs.
It's a motion authorizing the solicitor to conduct and report back to council on a formal investigation relative to a complaint we received in writing from an attorney and a former employee of the borough. It is
Thank
probably
you.
something that we have to do.
I'll proceed with the roll call vote in the order that councilors
I have
appear
a
on my
question.
screen.
I have a question.
Councilor Rocloud.
So will this investigation be completed by our solicitor, you, Mr. Gibbs, or will we have an independent investigator come in?
I will probably use an attorney in my office.
I kind of feel like that's the conflict of interest still.
So I've talked to the Philadelphia Bar Association. I don't have a conflict.
Oh, you
And
talked
that's
to
why I
them
take
already? Okay.
I got an ethics opinion. I don't have a conflict of interest. If I did, I would declare one. As a member of the Pennsylvania Bar, that's my duty and my obligation. I've talked to the partners in my office, and I'm still the solicitor. I'm charged with the legal issues. And the reality is that there's a lawsuit. I'd rather me be the one testifying as the person who conducted the investigation than you all testifying, and the insurance company be the one representing us.
Okay. All right. Well, it was just a question, not to upset you. I'm sorry, but
I am never upset.
yeah. Okay. So thank you.
You've never seen me upset. You won't. It's a professional environment for me.
Okay.
I did my due diligence.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's
I'm
fine.
going to move on to our roll call vote. Councilor Cade.
Madam
Yeah.
President, can I just have a quick question or follow-up to that, if you don't mind?
Mayor Hopkins.
Yeah, real quick. My understanding, Mr. Gibbs, is that the library is an adjunct or a part of the borough. So your responsibility, is it not, is to represent the borough legally in all its interests?
That's correct, pursuant to the Borough Code.
Okay, I just want to make it clear. It's I don't think it's a bad question. I just thought it was something that might need further clarification, because you are representing the borough as our solicitor. So your responsibility is to act in the borough's interest legally, and that pertains to the library as well, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And if you will indulge me 1 second, I will read the section that actually says that. If I can find it, which I can't, because section of the Borough Code says the legal matters of the borough shall be under the control of the borough solicitor. No department or officer of the borough, except as otherwise provided by law, shall employ an additional counsel without the assent or ratification of counsel. And it requires that I be licensed to practice law in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. There have been a number of other investigations that we've undertaken where I've used other lawyers in my firm who have provided the interviews, so that way I'm not conflicted when I make work to counsel.
Thank you.
I've also used a lawyer who's associated with my firm named Jeffrey Young, who has sat in my chair when I have been out of town. If necessary, I would use Mr. Young or some other combination of lawyers who all have agreed to operate at a significantly reduced hourly rate. The only concern that I have is that we need to get the computers imaged and making sure that we know exactly what was happening in a library. Because my experience as a borough solicitor was the library to the best of their ability. And frankly, one or two members have kept me at bay as much as they could.
Can we talk personnel issues here? Is that
No.
permissible?
I'm not getting into personal. No, I'm not getting into personal.
No, thank you. So, and we're also in the middle of a motion. So I'd like to move forward with the roll call vote. For get sidetracked. Councilor Cade,
Yes.
Councilor Roadcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson,
Yes.
Councilor Francis.
Yes.
So yes from me. That vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
I have a question, please. Well, more of a statement.
Councilor Roadcloud.
Okay. So I would like to make a motion to have that statement, public statement relating to the subject incident removed from the borough's website until conclusion of the investigation, given the fact that individuals have been specifically named and accused of misdoings without an investigation. So I feel that it's improper, premature at this time, and should definitely be removed. And that would be my motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Having been moved and seconded, I'll proceed with a roll call vote in the order that councilors appear on my screen. Councilor Cade,
Isn't there a discussion?
is there a discussion?
Yeah.
We discussed it prior, so I didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I definitely think a new statement should be implemented. I agree with Councilor Roadcloud that this particular one should be removed, but I do think a new statement without some of the names in there should absolutely be replaced in there. But for this particular motion, I am a yes on this one.
Madam President,
Councilor
can it be? Yeah.
I have a question as
sorry.
well.
Councilor Francis was first, and we'll follow with Councilor Johnson.
Is it possible this amendment can be the statement that the statement on it be, I won't say reviewed, but changed, revised, I should say.
So the motion on the floor is for it to be removed.
Yeah, could you, what I'm hearing, I think, sorry if I could speak, Madam President, what I'm hearing Councilor Cade say and Councilor Francis is, could the motion be amended to remove the names and put another kind of like a more general statement on the website?
Do we just let this motion go and then make a new motion for a new statement?
Okay.
Councilor Chair, may I speak?
Yes, Councilor Johnson.
Okay. I have a question. My question is, if we're removing said names, which is fine with me, do we put in place of that, or how do we word that? Do we put there a position? How would that be revised?
So the motion that's currently on the floor is to remove. So unless the motion is going to be amended, this isn't the discussion for the motion to be removed.
So we're going to deal with that component first and then deal with the revision?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I make a motion that.
So we need to take a vote on this motion that's on the floor. So Councilor Cade?
Madam President, the Councilor Johnson could make a motion to amend the motion that's on the floor. Yeah,
Counselor
you would
Johnson,
need
are you making a
2/3
motion
vote,
to amend?
Yes.
and you would need 2/3 approval to amend the motion.
I'm sorry, can you please repeat what you're saying to me?
You
Or
would,
to,
Madam President, would need 2/3 of the council to agree to an amendment.
so
Why
the
can't
motion
it
on,
just,
the motion on the floor is to amend the previous motion
No,
that was
the
stated.
motion, that's fair. Yes.
the
And
motion
in
on the
order,
floor is to remove?
Councilor
That's the
Counselor
Jones'
motion on
words,
the
Johnson,
no.
floor.
I said to
Counselor Jones'
amend.
words, Counselor Johnson has made a motion to amend the motion. She needs 2/3 approval to amend the motion.
so am I
She does
taking
not
that
have
with
a
the roll
second.
call vote? Is there a
You need a
second to
second
amend?
first.
Second.
2/3 of 7 is what?
It's 6. We only have 6 counselors present. So it would be,
Okay, that wasn't, I'm sorry, that was not for you all. That was for my calculator.
Can,
okay,
can
there's
we,
a
can we,
So
second.
you
So
need
we'll,
6.
can we just keep
This is
the
messy.
honor? Can we
It's
just
real
leave the
messy.
No,
honors?
I
no.
can't. Everybody's talking.
We have a motion on the floor to amend. You got to vote on that motion first. If
Okay.
that motion fails, then it goes back to the original motion.
Okay.
so is there a second for the amend? I heard a second, so I'll perform a roll call vote. Counselor Cave
No.
to amend.
No.
Counselor Roadcloud.
No.
Counselor Jones
Madam
Waters.
President, Madam
No.
President, the motion
So the
will
motion
fail.
failed. Okay, the motion failed. I was going to 3, so we would be beyond the 2. Thank you.
Now, Madam President, the motion on the floor is to remove. It's been moved and properly seconded. The question is now, should a motion carry?
Counselor Case,
Yes.
Counselor Roadcloud,
Yes.
Counselor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Counselor Francis,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
Yes.
So no from me. The motion carries. The statement will be
I have
removed.
a question, and that is the reason why I voted, because you got to vote in order to ask a question. We're just going to remove everything, I want to be clear, off of the web with no statements at all. Am I clear on that?
Yes, that's the
The
motion.
motion was to remove unless someone else is putting a motion to put up a new statement.
I am making a motion. I'm asking for a motion for a revised statement that we all agree on, and and something that we could maybe all have input. Maybe we could just give the authority for somebody to draft a basic one. So, Madam President, I am making a motion. I'm asking for a motion for a revised statement that is agreed on by the majority of council.
I have a question with that. Shouldn't it be the
There
entire?
has to be a
There needs to be a
motion,
second.
and there has to be a second before
Second.
there's a question.
Second, Madam President.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question.
So the question,
Counselor Jones Waters, you have to wait to be recognized. So
okay.
Counselor Jones Waters, what is your
Well,
question?
thank you. My question is, listening to Counselor Cave, I'm sorry. You mentioned majority. It should be the entire council. The entire council should have input, not just the majority. So that's where the problem lies.
I said everyone should have input, but voted on and passed by a majority. Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
you said
I
passed
think
by the-
everybody should have input. Everybody should have input.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
So on the motion, I'm gonna conduct a roll call vote. Counselor Cave,
Yes, Madam President.
Counselor Roadcloud,
No, I don't trust it. No.
Counselor Jones Waters, Counselor Jones Waters.
She's muted. She's muted, Madam President.
Can she unmute herself? Or we're gonna, okay. Counselor Johnson,
Yes.
Counselor Francis,
Yes.
Counselor Jones Waters once more,
Hello? Okay.
Counselor
Hello?
Jones Waters,
Okay.
yes.
So, with the pretense,
This is the vote.
with the pretense that everyone voice is heard, it would be a yes.
That wasn't a motion, but yes.
It's a yes from me, the motion carries. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn at this time.
So move, Madam President.
Second.
Have a good evening, everyone.